All right, let's dig into these Twitter files, okay? I don't know if I'm going to read all of them because I know everyone. This one's very long, and I have no idea how long number 8 is. How long is it so far? I think it's still coming out. Oh no, is that it? Okay, it's only 21. All right, that's not that bad. All right, so Twitter files number 7. So this is we read about the number 6. Let me just pop this forward. We read this one on stream when it came out last week. The Twitter or the FBI subsidiary essentially saying that Twitter was essentially just a subsidiary of the FBI. Like they did whatever the FBI said. So now this is continuing on, part 7, FBI and the Hunter Biden laptop. How the FBI and the intelligence community discredited factual information about the Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings, both after and before the New York Post revealed the contents of his laptop on October 14th. Yes, people seem to forget that the contents of that laptop didn't just include weird incestual CP with Hunter Biden and various young women. I mean, there is over 450 illegal activities that have been documented with that laptop. Since it's now true, where the hell is Hunter Biden and why the hell is he not arrested right now? My goodness. Twitter files number 7, we present evidence pointing to an organized effort by representatives of the intelligence community aimed at senior executives at news and social media companies to discredit leaked information about Hunter Biden before and after it was published. That's right, senior executives at news companies, not just social media companies and not just Twitter. The story begins December 2019 when a Delaware computer store owner, while we know about this, he handed over the laptop, and he after he stumbled upon the stuff, he was like, "Holy shit!" But I'm fairly certain he had a copy of it, and that's how Rudy Giuliani was it Giuliani who got the copy of the laptop? I think so. By August 2020, Mac Isaac had still had not heard back from the FBI, even though he had discovered evidence of criminal activity. And so he emails Rudy Giuliani, who was under FBI surveillance at the time. Early October, Giuliani gives it to the New York Post. Okay, so that's how they got it. Shortly before 7 p.m. Eastern Time on October 13th, Hunter Biden's lawyer, George Masiris, emails JP Mac Isaac. Hunter and Masiris had just learned from the New York Post that its story about the laptop would be published the next day. Oh, let's see that. JP, thank you for speaking with me tonight. As I indicated, I am a lawyer for Hunter Biden, and I appreciate you reviewing your records on this matter. Thank you. Okay, that's not what I thought it was. At 9:22, that same day, I assume, FBI Special Agent Elvis Chan sent 10 documents to Twitter's then head of site integrity, Yoel Roth, through a teleporter, a one-way communication channel from the FBI directly to Twitter, which we learned about in the former Twitter files. 10 documents is not spam. And of course, we know what that would be, of course, because the next day is when this famous New York Post article dropped. Ukrainian exec thanked Hunter Biden for an opportunity to meet the vice president. Biden's secret emails. This is a huge story. Somehow they successfully got rid of it. And yet within hours, Twitter and other social media companies censored the New York Post article, preventing it from spreading more and, more importantly, undermining its credibility in the minds of many Americans. Why is that? What exactly happened? On December 2nd, Matt Taibbi described the debate inside Twitter over its decision to censor wholly accurate article. Since then, we discovered new information that points to an organized effort by the intel community to influence Twitter and other platforms. Of course, this is which Twitter files is this? Oh, this was the first one. Okay, the first Twitter files. First, it is important to understand that Hunter Biden earned tens of millions of dollars in contracts with foreign businesses, including ones linked to China's government, for which Hunter offered no real work. Here's an overview by investigative journalist Peter Schwitzer. This is 10 minutes long. We're not going to watch that. And yet, during all that, although that is actually really, I want to actually watch that later. And yet, during all of 2020, the FBI and other law enforcement agencies repeatedly primed Yoel Roth to dismiss reports of Hunter Biden's laptop as a Russian hack and leak operation. This is from a sworn declaration by Roth given in December 2020. Now, let's read this, shall we? Since 2018, I have regular meetings with the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, and industry peers regarding election security. During these weekly meetings, the federal law enforcement agencies communicated that they expected hack and leak operations by state actors might occur in the period shortly before the 2020 presidential election, likely in October. I was told in these meetings that the intelligence community expected that individuals associated with political campaigns would be subject to hacking attacks, and that material obtained through those hacking attacks would likely be disseminated over social media platforms, including Twitter. These expectations of hack and leak operations were discussed throughout 2020. I also learned in these meetings that there were rumors that a hack and leak operation would involve Hunter Biden. Yes, of course. Sure. Yeah. They did the same with Facebook. This is actually a clip. I know exactly what this clip is. He was on Joe Rogan, and this is when he admits that the Biden administration actually reached out to censor things on Facebook, and they pushed it down in the algorithm so less people would see it. Were the FBI warnings of Russia hack and leak operations relating to Hunter Biden based on any new intel? No, they weren't. Through our investigations, we did not see any similar competing intrusions to what happened in 2016, admitted FBI agent Elvis Chan. This is funny too. Intrusions to what happened in 2016. I mean, all that stuff was debunked. You know, the Steele dossier, the Russia disinformation shit, it all came from Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration. Remember, they actually spied on Trump. You guys remember that, right? Yeah. Indeed, Twitter executives repeatedly reported very little Russian activity. On September 24th, 2020, Twitter told FBI it had removed 345 largely inactive accounts linked to previous coordinated Russian hacking attempts. They had little reach and low follower accounts. In fact, Twitter debunked false claims by journalists of foreign influence on its platform. We haven't seen any evidence to support that claim. By underscore Bill Collins of NBC, our review thus far shows a small-scale domestic troll effort. A troll effort. Wow. Interesting. After FBI asked about a WAPO story on alleged foreign influence in a pro-Trump tweet, Twitter's Roth says, the article makes a lot of insinuations, but we saw no evidence that was the case here. And in fact, a lot of strong evidence pointing in the other direction. So this is 2016, I guess they're talking about. Black voters are being targeted in disinformation campaigns, echoing the 2016 Russian playbook. Oh, Washington Post, you are the worst. It is not the first time that Twitter's Roth has pushed back against the FBI. In January 2020, Roth resisted FBI's efforts to get Twitter to share data outside the normal search warrant process. Oh, I'm sure he resisted. He resisted real hard. Pressure had been growing. We have seen a sustained, if uncoordinated, effort by the intelligence community to push us to share more information and change our API policies. They are probing and pushing everywhere they can, including by whispering to congressional staff. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. I definitely trust that you actually held strong. Time and again, FBI asks Twitter for evidence of foreign influence, and Twitter responds that they aren't finding anything worth reporting. We haven't yet identified activity that we typically refer to or even flag as interesting in the foreign influence context. Oh, well, what about CP on your platform, y'all? Fucking asshole. Despite Twitter's pushback, the FBI repeatedly requests information from Twitter that Twitter has already made clear it will not share outside of normal legal channels. Then in July of 2020, the FBI's Elvis Chan arranges for temporary top secret security clearances for Twitter executives so that the FBI can share information about threads to the upcoming elections. Oh, here's a security clearance. You're now working for us. On August 11th, 2020, the FBI's Chan shares information with Twitter's Roth related to Russian hacking organization, APT28, through the FBI's secure one-way communication channel teleporter. Recently, Yoel Roth told Kara Swiss, is that account gone? Maybe she removed herself because she doesn't want to be a part of this. Yoel told Kara Swisher that he had been primed to think about the Russian hacking group APT28 before news of the Hunter Biden laptop came out. When it did, Roth said, "It set off every single one of my finely tuned APT28 hack and leap campaign alarm bells. More like you were groomed by the FBI." You know that well, don't you, Yoel? Uh-huh. Yeah, they definitely trained you well. That was Chan's purpose of that, I'm assuming. August 2020, FBI's Chan asked Twitter, "Does anyone there have top secret clearance?" When someone mentions Jim Baker, Chan responds, "I don't know how I forgot him." An odd claim, given Chan's job is to monitor Twitter, not to mention that they work together at the FBI. Yeah, sounds like bullshit. Who is Jim Baker? He's a former general counsel to the FBI, 2014 to 2018, and one of the most powerful men in the U.S. intel community. Baker has moved in and out of government for 30 years, serving stints at CNN, Bridgewater, a $140 billion asset management firm, and Brookings. A general counsel of the FBI, Baker played a central role in making the case internally for an investigation of Donald Trump. What a surprise. Baker wasn't the only senior FBI executive involved in the Trump investigation to go to Twitter. Don Burton, the former department chief of staff to the FBI, head James Comey, who initiated the investigation of Trump, joined Twitter in 2019 as director of strategy. My goodness. As of 2020, there are so many former FBI employees, Boo alumni, working at Twitter that they had created their own private Slack channel and crib sheet to onboard new FBI arrivals. You know, they had a little FBI crew inside of Twitter. Efforts continued to influence Twitter's Yoel Roth. In September 2020, Roth participated in an Aspen Institute tabletop exercise on a potential hack and dump operation related to Hunter Biden. They knew it was going to come out, and they had to prep him MK Ultra style. The goal was to shape how the media covered it and how social media carried it, of course. The organization was Vivian Schiller, former CEO of NPR. Oh, of course, you know how great NPR is. And that was very sarcasm, if you didn't catch that in my voice. Former head of news at Twitter, former general manager of New York Times, and former chief digital officer of NBC News. That, of course, is Vivian Schiller. Attendees included Meta/Facebook's head of security policy and top national security reporters for the New York Times and the Washington Post and others, all being coaxed and picked perfectly to push this narrative. I mean, this is not just Twitter anymore. I mean, this is exposing all these different people. I mean, the New York Times is lost, Washington Post is lost, all these legacy media is gone and dead. By mid-September 2020, Chan and Roth had set up an encrypted messaging network so employees from FBI and Twitter could communicate. They also agreed to create a virtual war room for all the internet industry plus FBI and ODNI, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Then on September 15th, 2020, the FBI's Laura Demlau, who heads up the Foreign Influence Task Force, and Elvis Chan, request to give a classified briefing to Jim Baker without any other Twitter staff, such as Yoel Roth, present. That's not shady or suspect at all, is it? October 14th, shortly after the New York Post publishes its Hunter Biden laptop story, Roth says, "It isn't clearly volatile of our hacked materials policy, nor is it clearly in violation of anything else," but adds, "This feels a lot like somewhat subtle leak operation." Yeah, so the FBI, they got that sliver in his brain, and he followed through with his training. In response, Baker repeatedly insists that the Hunter Biden materials were either faked, hacked, or both. They're faked. They're hacked. It's both. They're faked and hacked. In a violation of Twitter policy, Baker does so over an email and in a Google Doc on October 14th and 15th. And yet, it's inconceivable Baker believed the Hunter Biden emails were either faked or hacked. The New York Post had included a picture of the receipt signed by Hunter Biden, and the FBI subpoena showed that the agency had taken possession of the laptop in December of 2019. So they had it. So they knew it was real. As for the FBI, it would have taken a few hours for it to confirm that the laptop had belonged to Hunter Biden. Indeed, it only took a few days for journalist Peter Schweizer to prove it. Doing good work there, Peter. By 10 a.m., Twitter execs had brought into a wild hack and dump story. The suggestion from experts, which rings true, is that there was a hack that happened separately, and they loaded the hacked materials on the laptop that magically appeared at a repair shop in Delaware. My gosh. At 3:38 p.m. the same day, October 14th, Baker arranges a phone conversation with Matthew J. Perry in the office of the General Counsel of the FBI. The influence operation persuaded Twitter executives that the Hunter Biden laptop did not come from a whistleblower. One linked to a Hill article. Oh, God, a Hill article. Moving left based on a Washington Post article, going further left from October 15th, which falsely suggested that Giuliani's leak of the laptop had something to do with Russia. Oh, well, if the Hill said it, and then the Hill said that Washington Post said it, it must be true. Jeez. There's evidence that FBI agents have warned elected officials of foreign influence with the primary goal of leaking the information to the news media. This was a political dirty trick used to create the perception of impropriety. In 2020, the FBI gave a briefing to Senator Grassley and Johnson claiming evidence of Russian interference into their investigation of Hunter Biden. The briefing angered the senators who say it was done to discredit their investigation. Yeah. And you know what? Of the senators, Grassley and Johnson, I like them a little more than the others, just a little, because I don't trust any of them. Thomas Massey's pretty boss. I kind of like him actually. He's one of the few. Rand Paul, all right, I like him too. But there's who knows. The unnecessary FBI briefing provided the Democrats and liberal media the vehicle to spread their false narrative that our work advanced Russian disinformation. Notably, then FBI General Counsel Jim Baker was investigated twice in 2017 and 2019 for leaking information to the news media. You're saying he's under criminal investigation? That's why you're not letting him answer? Meadows asked. Yes. Damn. In the end, the FBI influence campaign aimed at executives at news media, Twitter, and other social media companies worked. They censored and discredited the Hunter Biden laptop story. By December 2020, Baker and his colleagues even sent a note of thanks to the FBI for its work. The FBI's influence campaign may have helped by the fact that it was paying Twitter millions of dollars for its staff's time. I am happy to report we have collected $3.4 million since October of 2019, reports an associate of Jim Baker in early 2021. So this is the one that everyone freaked out about. As you can see, it's got a lot more retweets and likes, proving that the FBI was actually using our money, taxpayer dollars, to give to Twitter for their staff's time of spreading this misinformation. That's crazy. And the pressure from the FBI on social media platforms continued. In August of 2022, Twitter execs prepared for a meeting with the FBI whose goal was to convince us to produce on more FBI EDRs, emergency disclosure requests. Okay, so what I've learned from this thread right here, right, is we know that Twitter was being manipulated to do the FBI's will. The FBI's will was absolutely biased for the Democrats, against Republicans, obviously more against Trump, who's more of a populist instead of a Republican, because the Republicans could give two shits about the populist party, the MAGA party, if you will, which I'm fully backing because I love America and I want America to be as great as it possibly can. And I don't think any of these people give a shit about America. They just care about preserving their own power. Another thing that I learned about this Twitter thread, it wasn't just Twitter. It wasn't just Twitter. It was Washington Post. It was the New York Times. We know that Facebook and Meta was involved. How much money were they getting from the FBI? How much influence did the FBI have over all of those other companies? Who knows? But what we now know is that Twitter was directly being influenced by the FBI to change I got to be careful because I'm on YouTube, change the potential outcome of the election because of what they did. I have seen a lot of testimonials about people finding out about the Hunter Biden laptop and going, oh, wow, is he corrupt? Is the House of the is the president's office corrupted? You know, can we trust Biden? Any of the Bidens? Is it just some sort of criminal regime that's now sitting in the Oval Office? I would never have voted for him had I known about this, which was in October before the election took place. So had they known, if this became a like if it was Trump instead of Biden, everybody we still would be hearing about it. Still to this day, you can imagine if it was about Trump instead of Biden. If it was Trump that was as corrupt as Biden is, no one would hear the end of it. In fact, Trump is probably the most investigated president ever because they need to get rid of him. And you don't think that if they would have found something by now, we would know about it? Yeah, I think so. I think Trump's in the clear. Now they're like, oh man, the January 6th committee has referred him to criminal what? Criminal what? You're wasting taxpayer dollars by circle jerking each other about how bad January 6th was. Such fucking bullshit. Stop wasting our time, our money, and please quit. These people on that January 6th committee are a fucking joke, and I'm sick of them. Okay, that is Twitter Files number 7.